Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to do another service call out in the field. I'm going to show you how fast I can troubleshoot an air conditioner, and hopefully we can find something that's interesting this go around. All I know is the thermostat is blank. The customer says it's blowing a fuse, so it obviously sounds like a low voltage short. That's something that's very special in our industry that a lot of people struggle with. I hope that's what I find, and watch what I do. Watch the steps that I take and how efficient we can be to get through this service call in a very timely manner. Let's get started. All right, we're gonna go ahead and grab a couple of tools out of the truck. Go ahead and get what I'm gonna need. I'm gonna start on the indoor unit, so I'm going to need obviously a rag. A lot of this stuff is dirty. I like to keep my hands clean. A pair of pliers, drill, meter, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my flashlight. Customer was a DIY, and honestly they really gave it a valiant effort trying to fix this machine. I really want to help this customer out, help out our local community. They tried to fix it. I'm just going to go through and kind of show you what I see here. And I'm looking at this thing, and you can just see that they tried to put fuses in. They had no real luck there. Obviously there's not a fuse in it now. I don't even, that's some terminal block that they're using for high voltage. That's not factory stuff, but I mean, it's working. I'm not going to mess with it too much. I'm going to go ahead and just check, make sure I have 24 volts, make sure my transformer's not blown. I know it's dark in here. I'm in a bathroom. Air handler closet's off the bathroom, and with this light, my GoPro may not pick up too much numbers on my meter, but I'll call it out to you as I read that voltage. I'm going to go ahead and undo some of these connections here. I'm just looking for 24 volts or 26 or 7 volts coming off my transformer, and I have that, so my transformer is good. So it looks like I just need to put a fuse in there, and then start, further checking things out. All right, so just trying to get set up here, get my mind right. Basically what I do is I just remove all my connections, and I just start checking where I'm going to have power go to first. I like to touch my wires together. I'll show you in this demonstration here on the easiest way to identify a short using your amp probe. I'm going to disconnect the float switch from my thermostat, and then all these wires are going to wind up getting disconnected one by one. And I know this is annoying, and a lot of people, they think there's a shortcut here, but it's actually faster if you just undo everything. Just, take a deep breath, and when you wind up, going through the wires one by one, you'll see that one of those wires is going to create a problem, and then you'll be able to trace where that wire goes to, either the indoor thermostat or the outdoor condenser. That green wire, that's obviously for my fan. It's connected to the gray. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. My fuse is already in there, so I'll be ready here in just a second. I'm just about finished getting set up here. So I'm going to go to my thermostat. Just make sure it's all set on cool. And now my thermostat as a tool is going to provide all my power. And so just taking the black wire, I have 24 volts there from my thermostat. I left one of the red wires connected, right? So I'm going to just use my amp probe now, and I'm going to see what my voltage is. I'm sorry, not my voltage, but my amps are. I can't exceed 3 amps because if I do, I'm going to pop that fuse. So I just want to kind of strafe the wire to see if I can get it to arc a little bit and see which one is going to give me ampacity. And so like I said, it's just a process of getting set up. Alright, so these are the wires that most likely are not going to give me a problem. I always start with those first. I always leave my yellow, my orange last. That's just going back to the thermostat itself. The other side is going out to my condenser. And I'm not seeing any issues just yet. My fan, obviously, it comes on, it's fine. Alright, this is the reversing valve. You saw how I just touched it. I'm going to do it again. And we'll get some amp draw there, not much. It looks like it's safe to hold it on there. I'm going to hold it on there for a little bit to see if it gradually picks up, but I'm only 0.3 amps. That's not going to pop a fuse. I'm not even a whole number yet. I've got to be 2.7 amps stronger than that to pop that fuse. I'm going to look at this electrical panel and just make sure my breaker's off for the outdoor so I don't short cycle it on my yellow because I don't want to turn it on and off. But I can't even find the breaker. It's not marked. So I'm going to go ahead and just try it maybe once just to see what happens. Okay, it popped. That fuse is popped. Okay, so obviously when I touch my yellow wire going out to the condenser, we have a short. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove this panel and just start looking around for anything that's obvious. It's always good to start with what's obvious. But if you've seen what I just have done, I mean, we've already isolated. I know my air handler, there's no shorts in it. I know my thermostat's fine. What I don't know is what component in my condenser is shorting out, whether it's wire or the board, or is it the contactor? Or, oh, nice lizards that have been sucked dry by a spider probably. And so we'll go ahead and just remove power. I can't find the breaker, but we found the disconnect. It could also be anywhere in these low voltage wires. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure things aren't touching the side of the contactor. When I look at that, I see a spider underneath that contactor there. And now I've got to make sure that I'm not messing around in here where that spider is going to get me. So I'm going to have to entertain you a little bit so I can get this spider out of my way. It's kind of hard to see with the GoPro, but that spider's actually pretty big. I'm also going to disconnect the low voltage on my contactor. That way everything on the Y circuit. Okay, I'm going to try and get him. Okay, nope. I think that made him mad. Alright. Knock him down here. There he is. Okay, he's not going to be a problem now. And this happens when you're in the field. You guys know that there's always ants and roaches and spiders and lizards. Alright, I'm just checking over things, checking my fuse. Remember, we popped it before I went outside, so I'm just going to put a new fuse in there. And so now that we've isolated it, we got to put another fuse in there. You might go through a couple of fuses trying to figure out where your short is. But, you know, the last thing you want to do is just go through fuses thinking that you're going to fix the problem by replacing the fuse. Your fuse is blowing for a reason. And now we know our reason is that yellow wire going outside, which is the wire that goes through my low pressure switch, my high pressure switch, and it goes to my contactor. And any one of those can be a problem, or any of the wires in between all those devices can be a problem. I'm just going to see if I can get it to pop again. And so now it seems like the problem has kind of gone away. I don't like it when I get in this situation, but you know, we're not popping the fuse now, but the heat strips were toggling. So I'm going to just check the voltage. When I touch my yellow and red together, I'm actually getting power there. And it's causing my fan to come on only because the fan is wired to that heater relay as a safety, so when the heat strips run, that fan will run. So we most likely have a problem within some wires that are just making contact inside of a jacket. So those are a little tough to find. It could be a weed eater that caused the problem. It could have been, you know, just skint back from installation. But I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the heat strip wire right now. Just completely isolate that all together. And even though I kind of know things are coming from the outside, I'm using my cabinet, by the way, for ground. I don't need to use common. I can just use this cabinet here. And I'm just looking to see where am I going to get voltage when I touch yellow. Okay, so I'm testing individual white wires to see where power is coming from, so I can help identify what is shorting out to that white wire that brings on my heat strips. And so it's obviously coming from the wire that is coming from my condenser unit. At the end of the day, this kind of really helps me know that I'm not dealing with a component. Alright, when I come back out here, if you notice, I plugged my defrost control board back in, but I got my contactor unplugged. I'm going to unplug the other side of my contactor. And so now, you know, there's low pressure switches and high pressure switches in series at this point with those wires. And I'm going to check out my contactor coil to see if it's in range. It is in range. I know you can't see that, but that was like, I believe it was like 14 or 15 ohms. No issues there. And when I check it here, I'm actually getting resistance back to the cabinet. I'm not supposed to. So something is strafed on my cabinet. Now, I know this for a fact at this point. I just don't know exactly where. But if that homeowner came out and said, hey, how are we coming? I'm going to say, hey, nothing major. We got to replace some of these small components in here just because they're a little wore out. Not a problem, but that's not contributing to your short. I haven't found your short yet, but at least I know that we're getting resistance to the cabinet. So one of your wires are chafed. So I'm going to go ahead and just eyeball the condenser section to see if there's anything that's been rubbing on the copper. You know, for example, a common wire or the pressure switch wire. Sometimes coming through this cabinet, they get chafed right there. Everything looks fine. I'm not going to undo everything and look at it. Plus, this is fixing to rain, and I'm kind of worried about that. So, I always keep my truck locked, so always forget that I leave it locked. I'm going to go ahead and replace his capacitor, and I'm going to replace his contactor since we're doing some pro bono work. Just in case you're curious what the resistance should be, this contactor is 11.7 ohms. So, I mean, he doesn't have a shorted coil. But I'm going to go ahead and just do him a solid. He's already replaced so many parts on this thing. The only thing he hasn't really done out here is changed out the capacitor and the contactor. But even if he did, he would have still had a low voltage short. I don't have time to sit here before the rain and do everything, but I'm going to try to knock out this contactor now that I got rid of that spider. Just because I can probably do that in a couple of minutes. And basically, you know, his short, it kind of went away where I'm not popping the fuse. So there's a bunch of spider eggs here, a bunch of roaches and stuff like that. I've got to get out of here. But I'm going to have to still look for that short, but I know it's nothing major now. I know it's just down into the wire. Some cases we can't find them. As long as the equipment's fine, sometimes it's just safe just to pull a new 18 gauge 8 conductor low voltage wire from one point to the other, basically the air handler to the condenser. And if we were to do that, then we would probably fix this problem, but not know exactly, you know, we wouldn't be able to hold the problem in our hand. I don't like to do that. I like to find the short. I don't like it when we just start, you know, guessing. I don't think that's fair. And shorts, they really stress technicians out. And you know, this one kind of got me a little upset because normally I find these shorts pretty fast, but this one's, you know, making me work for it. So I'm just going to reconnect everything. You can see that rain starting to come down, and I'm getting wet. That rain starts to really mess with your head, and you start to rush, and then you start leaving your tools out. You start forgetting things, your steps and your process to doing things, especially when you're looking for a short. You know, you can get complacent real easy because you're more concerned about, you know, your safety, your equipment safety, your tool safety, and obviously your timing, your efficiency is kind of out the window. Everything's connected on this thing except the contactor. I don't think I wired that contactor all the way through, but again, my short is not there. I'm gonna start putting some of this stuff back together, and I'm hoping that I can reduplicate my problem. When you start moving a bunch of wires around and you start undoing things and redoing them, a lot of us, unfortunately, we lose our problems. Our problems just go away. And, you know, it sucks when we're in that situation because we're like, well, I had the problem in front of me where I had an immediate short. And then the moment I start working on this thing, my short just disappears. Well, I mean, if your short's disappearing, it's not a contactor coil, a defrost control board, a thermostat. It's not a relay. It's not a module. There's nothing that is a low voltage load that's creating that short. It's obviously in the wiring. You moved a wire that was touching a cabinet, and you know, we're gonna have to go spend a little bit more time. You know, and if I don't find it, it may never happen again until somebody jiggles the wire in the right location. So we're going to put this back together, and then we're going to just run it for a little bit and see if we can't reduplicate that problem while it's pouring down rain outside. This rain is typical where we're at. Basically daily. You can see it just pouring off the eave. I have to redo one of my connections. My fan motor is not going to come back on because I didn't have a good connection on my contactor. So again, because I'm rushing, basically dodging in between the raindrops, you know, I was hurrying up because of this storm, and now I have to go back and redo something, you know. So I'm going to fix that real quick here. And I'm just soaking wet. You know, this is technician life 101. You know, we have to work in these conditions, and it's unique because other trades, you know, not dealing with somebody's emotions and the comfort of their home, and they're not dealing with, you know, the weather like we are.
Sorry about that intermission. It started to rain really bad. We had to stop for a little bit just to let that rain die down. Typical Florida weather. Let's get back to it.
Had to button this thing up and wait it out. Everything was getting wet. Me, my tools, the cabinet. Alright, so now everything's wired up. I just want to, you know, check this out and see where my problem could potentially be. It's got to be in this low voltage area. This is the only thing I did not inspect. And so I'm just going to just peel these back. Worst case, I'll just remake up the connections. But I can see this, the part right there, and that's it. That, look, right there on my common wire, it was strafing in the cabinet, and that's all it takes to ruin your day. I'm just going to make up this last connection now that I found that. And we're pretty much good to go. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for all your support. We're happy to make this content. We're very passionate about this. If you could leave us a comment below on a video that you would like us to either create, lecture about, we'd be happy to do so. Also, if there's a call that you've ran that's either a second opinion or maybe a DIYer that was in the wrong direction and you were able to come out there and help them out, drop a comment below. We want to read about that and share that story with others. As always, we want you to stay safe, stay tuned, check out these other videos, and we hope that we help you crush your next service call.